Hello everyone and welcome back to Curious Kellen. Today I'm going to be talking a little bit about taking the AP English Language and Composition test. Here we go. So the AP Lang test is one of the many AP tests that you can take. It is broken down into two sections. One is a multiple choice section and the other is a free response section. So for the multiple choice questions, you have 45 questions and you have 60 minutes to answer them. And then for the free response questions, these are actually three separate essays that you have to write, and you get 2 hours and 15 minutes to do those. So it's generally about 40 minutes for each essay. And the point of those early 15 minutes that you get at the beginning is to read through some of your sources for the synthesis essays. So that is kind of how the test is broken down. And when you're doing the multiple choice questions, you're going to want to make sure that you've studied things like rhetorical analysis, different, what is a noun, what is a verb, very kind of like grammatical ideas, as well as things like pathos and ethos and logos, things like that. You want to make sure that you have down for the multiple choice portion. And then when you get to the free response section, you're going to want to make sure that you do actually quite a few things. The first thing you want to do is make sure that you write down your claim. You can write that in the margins, or you can write it in your thesis statement. Well, of course you're going to want to write it in your thesis statement, but just when you're starting to first read and kind of think of what is my position on what I'm writing, make sure that you write it down. Because a lot of the times people will start writing without really thinking of the goal that they're trying to get towards for their writing. So make sure that you write down what you actually are trying to write about. And another thing that you want to make sure you're doing is not trying to write for the purpose of getting a high score. And I know that sounds kind of weird to say, but write what you feel comfortable writing about. Don't try and use super big words, super high-level vocabulary if you don't really know how to use it, if you don't feel comfortable with that. Don't take a side on a position if you just think that that's going to be the better side to get you more points in the exam. That's not the way you want to do this. You want to write what you feel most comfortable about, not what you think is going to get you the highest score. Another thing you want to make sure that you're doing is writing legibly, because if you have written an essay that is completely unreadable, it's going to get a 0. So make sure, just before kind of the exam starts coming up, that you're practicing your handwriting if you have handwriting that isn't as easily legible as some others, and just make sure that you're feeling comfortable with that and being able to write quick, but also being able to make sure that it looks nice while you're writing that way. Now, the most important thing that you want to do when you're writing your essays is cite your sources, especially on the synthesis essay, because they give you they give you quite a few sources, but you have to use 3 of them, at least 3, in your essay for the synthesis portion of the exam. And if you don't cite your sources, that's actually going to be a big score reduction for that specific essay. And also in the other essays, if you're not making citations or just referencing the author or where you're getting your information from, you're gonna lose some points on your exam. So make sure that you are actually citing your sources that you're using, especially on the synthesis essay. And when you're bringing all of this together, it's kind of difficult to try and piece everything together right before the exam. So one of the most important things that you can do is actually take practice exams, and especially for the essays. The multiple choice questions, you know what a multiple choice test looks like. If you've studied properly and you know the material, you'll probably do pretty well on the multiple choice portion. So make sure that you're really practicing writing those essays, doing synthesis essays, doing the rhetorical analysis essays, doing the other response essays. So you've got to make sure that you are practicing writing, because if you don't, you're going to have some issues when you actually sit down and start to write. So I always try to take at least 2, maybe 3 practice tests before I do any big test like this. That's what I did with the AACT, and that was really helpful for me. So make sure that you're taking practice tests before you actually go in and take the test for the first time. Another really important thing is actually 2 things. 1, get some good sleep the night before your test, and 2, stay focused during your test. So make sure that you get the amount of sleep that you need, which is usually over 6 hours at least, hopefully over 7, maybe even 8 hours at least, so that you are prepared and ready biologically for the exam. Everything's working smoothly, you're hydrated, you had a good breakfast, all those kinds of things play into how well you do on your test. So make sure you get a good night's sleep before the test, and then when you get to the test, make sure that you stay as focused as you can, because your brain might start to wander. It's really hard to stay focused for that amount of time, but just you have, when you're doing practice tests, that's also what you're testing, not only your knowledge but your ability to stay focused for a certain amount of time. So make sure that you stay focused and don't worry so much about previous portions. So if you are writing your essay and you felt like the essay that you just did wasn't good enough, and you're thinking about that while you're writing your next essay, it's not going to be helpful. After you write your first essay, you just got to let it go and start working on your next one. Don't worry about the multiple choice portion. You already took it. You just have to let it go and work on what is in front of you. That is one of the most important things, because if you get caught up on not only just other things from the test, but also other things that are going on in your life, then it's going to detract from your focus on the test. So make sure you stay nice and focused. So after you've taken the test, one of the most important things you can do is not stress about your score, because that's what a lot of people do. They felt bad about the test, or they felt really good about the test, so they're thinking about the score that they could have gotten. But it takes a while for the scores to actually come in. So after you've taken the test, there's nothing that you can do to change your score. Absolutely nothing. So don't stress about what you got until it actually comes in, because it's not helpful to be stressing about that. So other than that, make sure that you work hard and you take those practice tests. You make sure that you study, and if you want it, you'll get a good score. If you work hard for it, you'll get a good score. That's pretty much all there is to it for the AP Lang test, and really all there is to it for any of the AP tests. If you want it, you'll get a good score. If you work hard, you'll get a good score. So I hope this video has been helpful for those of you who are preparing to take an AP test soon. I'm actually going to be taking this AP test in the next few weeks, so it's something current for me, and I'm sure it's current for a lot of you out there. So I'm wishing you luck on your AP tests. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to leave a like and even subscribe if you enjoy learning things about language and literature, anything really. I love talking about it on this channel. So if you enjoy that kind of thing, please feel free to subscribe. Thank you everyone for watching. Stay curious, and I will see you in the next video.